What's up, y'all? It's your girl Tisha back on another one today on Unexplored Truths. As always, I am so excited to share the subject matter that I have for you guys on today. I definitely am excited about this topic. And of course, if you see me look down, I'm looking at some of my points that I want to bring. But this is all me. I am just openly talking about what is going on in relationships, love within yourself, all of that. If this is your first time hearing me, I do podcasting. I'm also a life coach. I'm available on mymentor.life for you to book with me. I don't know how long I'm going to be on there for now. I do call coaching sessions only, no video at this time. You can book a 30 or an hour long session, and my schedule is available on there. It kind of changes every week, but I will update my schedule every Sunday for the coming week of when I'm available. If you have not, check out my social medias. Unexplored Truths on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok is unexplored_truth. And of course, if you have any thoughts, concerns, feedback, topics, questions, all those things, send your questions you can send them into my social medias. It'll be made like a clip of the videos that I've been making on like TikTok, Instagram, my social media, or I will actually come and make a video such as this on the topic if I feel like that there's some deep diving to get into the subject about. Or you can send your question into my email address, unexploredtruths@gmail.com, and I will be gladly available to answer questions, topics, concerns, and feedback. Okay. All right, let's get into the topic on today. Basically, being in a relationship with someone that has no desire to change. They have no true desire to change who they are, for who you need, and what you need in order for you to be happy and whole and to have a successful relationship. Not to say that there's not going to be some ups and downs in a relationship. However, this particular topic, it can tie into marriage. I would say that more so of this conversation is more for the relationship. If it applies in marriage, absolutely apply it. I honestly feel like it does. However, marriage is the one thing that I don't do a deep dive into. All of my topics foundationally are about relationship, and the foundation of a marriage is relationship. So that is where I speak. So I'll just announce that as a disclaimer about what I'm about to say. So being patient with someone that has no desire to change. What does this do to the person that's waiting for the change to happen and wondering if the change will ever happen? And this is why I preach that it's so important to know yourself, to know what you want, to know the things that you need, really. Knowing the things that you need in order to have a successful relationship. And the success of your relationship will bring forth the longevity. However, there are some people that's in a long relationship, a long-term relationship, that they decided that they wanted to settle for because they didn't want to start over, and they didn't want to leave the situation because of what the person is promising them. And they've been with them for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and no change is taking place. Or if the person decides to change, it's years from now. And so you put yourself in a predicament to where, is this something that I am able to sit aside and basically put yourself second? Because I don't want to jump in front of what I'm saying, but basically you're putting yourself aside in hopes that this person will change. And I'd seen a video of this lady I seen a piece of it basically where she was saying when you're struggling and when you're going through certain things and you're trying to get yourself together, why would you enter into relationship with someone and you're struggling? Because enduring with someone while they're struggling has a lot to say about where the other person is mentally. Because once you get to a point, and I'm not saying that you can't struggle with someone, what I'm saying is the struggle that people hold on to is a foundational type of struggle. You need to get things in order to support yourself, as far as food on your table, shelter, clothes on your back. These are necessities. These are basic life necessities that needs to be in place. And a lot of the times these things are not in place, and people go out and look for relationship when they don't even have the proper foundation to take care of themselves. So how are they going to take care of someone else and or bring forth children in a situation that they're struggling in? It's not the right time, place, or anything for that right now until you get out of the struggle. So basically what she was saying was, those were my paraphrasing words, but she was basically saying is, my question to you is, why are you looking for someone when you're struggling? And my question to you is, why are you being so patient with someone that you can clearly see that they have no desire to change? That's what I want to talk about here. And I don't want to jump ahead of myself or go into the mix of what I have. The main question to this is, what is this doing to you? Not the person that needs to do the work, not the person that's struggling, not the person that has the potential. I mean the other person in the relationship that sees this and say they have things going for themselves. They know what they think they want. And I'm not going to say what they need, because I honestly believe that you don't know what you truly need until you know yourself completely. I mean, out of the brokenness. I mean, in the healing journey. You don't know yourself when you're broken, because you're blinded by the things that broke you, and you're blinded by the traumas and the things that happened to you, and what someone did to you. And you're so blinded by that you feel so victimized by everything that's going on around you that you don't take accountability for certain things about yourself to then properly put boundaries in place to truly be who you are and to attract what you need for yourself. So what is this doing to the person that doesn't know themselves? Because if you know yourselves, again, I'm speaking in a relationship, when you know yourselves, you know what you need. So you would not even allow yourself to get in the mix up of getting with someone that you only see potential in and that has no desire to reach that goal. You see it, but they don't. And it's going to take that person to actually see it in order for it to be achieved. It's not up to the other person to achieve the goals for another person. It is up to that person to achieve the goal. Can the person have influence on you to reach that goal? Absolutely. But who is the ultimate person that has to walk in it? It's them. And so another piece of what she had said in this video, before I go deeper into what I have to say about it, is that you will find that people, and I'm not going to call any type of names, but even just celebrity relationships, you see that before all the fame and fortune and them reaching their goals and all this kind of stuff, the women that they used to talk to versus the women that they talk to now. Is it that the person changed? Or is it that the end part of who they ended up with is who they truly desired to be with in the first place. You being with them through the struggle, through the hard times, through all of this. And I'm not saying happiness in a long relationship, healthy relationship cannot be built through this. What I'm saying is there are a lot of relationships that people are enduring that's not headed in the right direction. You don't see the same page. You're living in toxicity. You're not working towards what you really need as a couple and what you need individually. It's not a healthy foundation for a relationship. It's not set up like you think it's set up. And this is why people say you can basically, you grow and then you grow with someone, but then you go in two separate directions. It's because you didn't know who you were yet. And so now that you two are moving in the direction of your need and what you actually need for purpose coming from your life, it is separating you because you weren't meant to be together anyway. And this is not my saying what I'm about to say, but I heard someone say this. Deon Cole, actually, I love comedy. I love comedy. Deon Cole said this, and people have to get past who's saying it. It doesn't matter if he's a comedian. It doesn't matter the background of the person. You have to start listening to what people say and take it for face value. And what he said that really stuck with me was, people are basically getting with people on a level that they should have passed on. Let me repeat that again. People are getting with people in relationships on a level that they should have passed on. And then you wonder why it's not working out. And when you really actually think about it, think back to the beginning before you guys proceeded to do what you wanted to do in that situation, what you looked over, the things that you seen, but you disregarded you seeing them. Because I also hear people saying that I didn't know who the person was. They were this person and they pretended to be this person. And I feel like I got with someone else. There has to be. I have a lot more experience than some people think that I have. There was something there. There was something there that you ignored. Dig deep. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be as deep, but look deep into the reason why you looked over that and continued into the relationship. You have to ask yourself that. This episode is for the person who chose to stay and didn't remove themselves from the situation. And now they are in a situation that they should have passed on. You shouldn't have stayed here. But you chose to stay there because of brokenness and because of some things that you need to handle for yourself before you enter into a relationship. I am speaking of majority. I do understand some people get together young, get married, do all of that, stay with one person for their entire life. God bless them a little bit different. But the majority of people, at least in America, I'll say that, the majority of people that have the freedom to go and date who they want to date and marry who they want to marry and do all of these things, there's a lot of choosing wrong and no accountability from people that chose wrong. And so they just start pointing the finger at the other person. And the other person is always who they were. And let me finish this. To the point that I was saying that the person that stayed with them, when I was referring to the celebrity relationships, people are so quick to say that you changed, or even just not even in celebrities. The celebrities are not an exception, and normal life is not an exception, both circumstance. But I just brought up celebrity because I'm sure you guys can think of a few celebrities that had a wife, had children, had things going on, and then when they, for whatever reason, they're married to someone that looks completely different than the person they were with through the struggle, before they made it, before they had the money, before they had the fame. And you see what they ended up choosing. Is it that the person changed, or the person settled for a specific person prior to their destiny, prior to their purpose? And now they see it being fulfilled, and they cannot, because I'm not going to say that the person was used. I'm not going to put those words in the situation. However, in a way, if you allow yourself to be used through this process, don't be the struggle bus girl in hopes for marriage, or in hopes that the person will turn out how you think they're going to turn out. We got to start doing the work before on ourselves before we start looking for other people. And this is why it's so important. And to not ignore the red flags of what people do. It's so important to do that. But a lot of people don't want to take a breath, take a step back, look at the situation. What red flag did I see? Did I ask them about it? Did I keep it to myself? Did I just bury it and say, well, I mean, but he's not really like that, or she's not really like that. She just has her moments, or they just have their moments. When is the moment a deal breaker? Because some things should not be happening in a healthy relationship. Some things are disrespectful. Some things just should not be happening. Okay? So what does it do to the person that stays and endures what they think will get them the marriage, or get them the child, or get them to only be what this man sees? The reason why being with a person that has no desire to change is detrimental is because you give up pieces of yourself trying to fix them. You give up pieces of yourself trying to fix them. And that then turns into resentment and anger. And you have to ask yourself, is this resentment and anger directed towards them? Or are you angry and resentful to yourself? It's so easy to be angry with someone else than it is to be upset with the decision that we made. And sitting with the decisions that we make is the hardest pill to swallow. It is the hardest thing to swallow until you put it into practice of accepting accountability. And when you step into that, this anger and resentful feeling that you feel, you wouldn't take it as hard. You'd be like, you know what, Lord, I seen that coming. I disagreed with what you were saying, and I went in my own flesh and I did it anyway. But God, I look at this as a lesson, and I don't look at it as this person did something to me. It just shows and confirms what you already told me. I was just hard-headed, and now it's coming into the fulfillment of what you said that it was going to be. I wanted to bring this example up as well. Y'all ever seen the movie Acrimony, right? With Taraji P. Henson, right? Whew, man, that movie. And I seen it late, y'all. I seen Acrimony so late. Don't judge me. I seen Acrimony so late. I seen that movie, and I don't even know the year that it came out, but I didn't see that movie until like 2022, I believe. Of course, I seen it advertised and all that kind of stuff. I didn't just watch it. And when I tell y'all, this is a primary example of what I'm saying. Now, they were married. But did you see all of the sacrifices of herself that she put aside to help him get to where he needed to be? And she got so angry and resentful towards him and so angry towards the situation. If you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to say too much, but if you have to fast forward this part, if I say something, fast forward it. But what she endured and what she got herself in, she has to take accountability for that. And I know it's acting, and I know it's an extreme example of this, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. You staying. She stayed all those years for him to manifest his dreams and goals and turn into the person that he was. Is he wrong for having dreams and aspirations? No. But the thing is, if she completely went bankrupt trying to finance his dreams. She put parts of herself behind. She was hurt, listening to family people in her ears trying to direct her on what she should do. I'm not going to go all into the movie and all of my thoughts, but what I will say, to the point that I'm trying to bring here, is every single thing that happened didn't have to happen to her. She could have let him know that, you right now, I understand that you're building, and this is before she married him. I understand that the dream that you see, that you have, but for me to finance it and to give you my mother's money when I need to save that for the things that I need to do with it, because my mom left this to me and she left me this house and she left me these things, for her to just give that away slowly and him using that to finance and it not manifest just yet. He needed to find his own way to his dream. She did not need to be the person to try to finance it. Again, I'm not talking about a one situation where this may have happened for the good. What I am saying is, for a person to endure certain things and to give so much of themselves and neglect themselves in order to prosper the other person, and then they prosper and then they leave, or they end up with someone else, and the person is so angry about the situation that they never once looked at what they did, what contribution that they have in the situation, what could they have done differently in the situation so the outcome wouldn't have been this. Because if you are for each other, it's going to be. What God blessed, it eventually will be. You are not the driver of your life. God is. He just gives you the will to let him drive, or if you want to put him in the passenger seat. But he's supposed to be the one that's driving. And so it's not selfish to say, if she would have said at the beginning that I understand your dream and I understand where you're headed and I understand what you see of what can happen. But he didn't feel fulfilled until he reached the goal that he was trying to reach the entire time. And no, he did not initiate leaving. However, when her family got in her ear and said these things, that was a piece of it. And then also, too, that he didn't step up and say that I don't want to use you for these things, although this is my dream. I don't want to tire you out. I don't want you to give so much of yourself to me. I got to figure it out as a man. I have to figure it out and how I can accomplish what I need, because this is my baby right now. And I can't completely fulfill you in the relationship because I don't feel fulfilled without my purpose. God gave Adam a purpose first before he gave him Eve. And I've said this before in a podcast. He didn't give Eve first to Adam and then gave him purpose. That's why it's so important for you to find purpose. God cares more about your purpose than anything, than any relationship, any situationship, anything that is not pushing forward into what he has for his kingdom. God is more concerned about who you are in his kingdom than who you're with. Will the person add into you? Absolutely. But until you know your purpose in God and what you actually need for yourself, and actually healing and all the things that were done to you, and this barrier of blindness that you don't see that you actually need from a relationship, and to not settle and feel like I have to go through this, or this is the normal the normal things that people deal with in relationships. And it's not. Acrimony did go into some marriage. But even before she got married, even before they got married, there were a lot of red flags that she ignored. And if you've ever seen that movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I am not 100% blaming him, and I am not 100% blaming her. Each of them is to blame. And as the man, he should have spoken up. And as a wife, or a girlfriend at that time, as a girlfriend and as a boyfriend, when they were in that stage, they should have spoken up, because it was clear as day that he was driven on what he wanted to accomplish, and it turned out to be a success. But people get so tired and not wanting to go by God's time that they rush things. They rush things and end up in things that were not meant for them. It was either the wrong time or the wrong person. The wrong time or the wrong person. And it's the wrong time can have a lot to do with you're not where this man needs to be in order for y'all to be together and to accomplish this thing that I have for you two to do together, and that God will bless together. There's some more growing you got to do. And although you may be tempted to stay there, learn to believe someone's actions instead of their words. And people get so tripped up on that. And you know the saying, actions speak louder than words, right? You have to ask yourself, why do I keep allowing words to mean more than actions? Why? Why do I keep allowing someone's words to mean more than their actual actions? That's a word in itself. You have to ask yourself that. Because once you get to the point of the tolerance, your tolerance being like this, because like so big that you don't realize that you need boundaries around some of these things. You're tolerating too much. You shouldn't be tolerating this much or more. Once you get healed, and once you start getting the healing process, right? And you start to work on different pieces of your life, your tolerance is not going to be much for the things that are not good for the relationship, and more so good for you to be satisfied in the relationship. Your tolerance level gets low. So you allowing words that someone tells you to mean more than what they're actually showing you says a lot about what you think about yourself. It says more about you than the other person. It says more about you than what it says to the other person. Because someone can tell you and promise you, I promise I'll change, baby. I promise I'll do this and I'll do that. And I promise that I won't hurt you. And I promise that I won't do this. But then you find yourself hurting. You find yourself enduring. You find yourself in a place and you're like, God, like, how did I let myself get there? Why am I in this situation? Why did I allow what they said to me to be the what I held on to? And if you think about it like this, because this is just coming to my head, God never says anything that he can't back up. And although you cannot expect yourself through other people, if they're not showing you the qualities that you need and that you carry to pour into someone else, that's not going to be the person for you that's not able to provide that back to you when that's what you need. You deserve the proper pouring back into you. Physical action to pour back into you than words. And then when the person says, I'll change, I'll do this, I'll do that, they change for a week, 2 weeks, a month, a couple months, and then they revert back into that person that they were. Not saying that they need to be a perfect person. Again, there are no perfect people. However, someone that is so concerned about hurting you and not not wanting to hurt you and wanting to fix it and wanting to work on themselves and the things that they're dealing with, they're going to put forth the proper action behind those words. Their words in general brings no change. And people get so stuck on the words of people and what they're saying that they disengage with reality. They disengage with reality. And so the only person that really deserves, or the only person that really has to take responsibility, is the person who endured with something that they should not have been putting endurance in. We're talking about that person right now. Because yes, on the other aspect of it is the person that was using the person knows that they weren't ready for the change. It is also their part in taking accountability for them knowing that they were not ready for that. And although they didn't just vocalize it to you openly, you knew it though, because you seen that there were no changes, or there were only temporary changes. There was no permanent change. And I understand the patience of someone going through the change. I understand that. But patience shows results. Patience brings forth results. But unwillingness, I don't care what they're saying to you. Their unwillingness to really physically change their mind, their heart. A person can influence, but they cannot force someone to change. You can influence, you cannot force. And my last thing on this subject is enduring does not bring you the respect that you think that it brings. It doesn't bring the respect that you think that it brings. And it actually shows the other person that you don't respect yourself enough to properly place people in or out of your life if they do not respect you properly, which means proper boundaries in place. Boundaries are so important. So important. Boundaries are not meant to be used as a negative protection practice. Boundaries, healthy boundaries, are set to protect you. You specifically. It's not for anyone else and what the boundaries that they decide is going to be their boundaries. I mean healthy boundaries. I'm not talking about little petty boundaries. I'm not talking about any of that. There are certain things that you have to set around to protect yourself, to protect your spirit, to protect your heart. Because that's how you get so broken and so astray and so lonely and so depressed, is you let these things continue and you don't take accountability that maybe, hey, if I just would have set this in place and let them know that I did not like this from the get-go, and set this to let them know that, hey, this is not flying with me. This is going to have to change if you're going to want to continue anything with me. If they don't respect that about you and are able to accept that you have that boundary and do not throw it in your face and do not make it negative or constantly try to stomp on it or anything like that, they don't respect you. If they're doing that, they don't. And what this looks like with you actually enduring this looks like that they can do anything to you and you will accept it. Anything they do to you, you're not going to leave, you're going to stay. And they are used to you in that way. And that's how a lot of unhealthy relationships go wrong, is because someone steps on a boundary, you don't correct them. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. You take them back. Oh, they do it again. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Just be patient with me. I told you I'm trying and I'm doing all this. And okay, it's a boundary. The first time it happened, if you did it the proper way, the first time it happened and you brought it to their attention that, hey, I don't like this certain thing. And me personally, this is something that I'm not willing to accept. So if this happens again, I definitely forgive you. Forgiveness is a big deal. You definitely have to forgive. However, if this happens again, I won't be here. And you have to actually mean it. And the thing is a lot of people are scared to say this, because if it happens again and they don't leave, what is this saying to the other person? That you don't respect yourself. And the person actually loses respect for you because you did the complete opposite of what you said you were going to do. You can't predict what's going to happen in a relationship. That's why it's so important to set the foundation, so that when you get into a certain situation or a certain circumstance, and I've heard some people say, well, you don't know what you would do until you were in that spot. But being in that spot and knowing what you said you would do requires a lot of discipline. And in the conversation of doing what you said you would do in the situation before it comes or if it comes, you have to be honest in that situation. And I don't think a lot of people are being honest. They just want to give the answer that they feel the other person is wanting them to answer. And so when they actually get into the situation, they actually feel exactly how they felt and said that they would deal with it, but they didn't voice that to you. They weren't truthful to you in what they would do in this situation. So it looks like a lie. And not saying that it wasn't a lie, but they told you a lie. But the reality is they did exactly what they did in that situation. I'll give you an example. Let's say they have kids and you have kids, but you decided that you both don't want any more children. Although you, let's say the woman, actually wanted children, or she at least wanted one child with the man, but the man wanted no children. And then you end up in a situation to where the man said that he didn't want any more children. But because you did internally, like you did not vocalize that you actually wanted at least a child to share between the two of you. It's not a problem that you wanted a child, and it's not a problem that he doesn't want a child. It's just they need to be with like people and to be on one accord and not living a lie. Because the situation will come up potentially that say the woman got pregnant and hey, she's excited, right? Because she wanted this. Although she voiced that she didn't want it. She wanted this on the inside. And she brings it to the man's attention that she's pregnant. And he is upset. Is he wrong? No, he's not. He was honest when you asked him the situation before the situation came up, that he didn't want any children. So now you're in a situation where, what do you do? And I want you to get to the point of thinking about things futuristically, dating futuristically, not dating for the now. What does this person want? Where's this person going? Do we want the same things? Am I lying to myself about the things that I want to get what I want? Because it's not what you need. You're trying to give into things that causes you to shift out of where you see yourself, or making you sacrifice certain things that you want or don't want. And then when you find yourself with the person, because it was a foundation of lies, either from one person or both, when you get in the situation, it's not that the person actually needs to be in the situation to fully understand. It's that they didn't do the proper conversation and things like that, to really just dig into what is the best option. If it does happen, if I do get pregnant, what are we going to do? What can we do? Maybe we should look into other options before we stop using protection, or maybe we should think about surgery or something to prevent this from happening. You have to have a more in-depth conversation and not just ask a question, get an answer, and not really just dissect and decipher exactly what will happen. You need to dissect it in a way that you both understand and you're both not disappointed that if this situation comes up, that you would feel some type of way. So enduring something that's not for you, that's not healthy for you, that causes you to put yourself down and to mend to what this other person wants you to be, is not a life that you want to get tied up in. And especially you don't want to go forth in marriage with something like that. You got to be honest with yourself. Heal, find purpose, invest in yourself, know yourself, learn yourself, and move forward. Healthy. Okay? All right, y'all. This is another episode of Unexplored Truths. And once again, I'm so happy if you're still in this listening to my voice, my sweet, sweet voice. I surely appreciate you and your support. And I will get with you guys on the next one.